2017 marca os 30 anos da criação da Lookout Records, uma das gravadoras mais importantes pro punk rock dos anos 90. Foi ali que saíram os 2 primeiros discos do Green Day, além do Operation Ivy, o comecinho do Rancid, que logo depois se mudou para Epitaph, e bandas super importantes como Screeching Weasel, The Queers, Scream Shrine, Mr. T Experience, Pense Division. Essa lista aí vai longe. Para comemorar o aniversário em janeiro, rolou o evento Lookouting, no lendário clube 924 Gilman, em Berkeley, com várias bandas, inclusive algumas que já tinham acabado há muito tempo e voltaram só para esse show. Uma das bandas é essa aí, The Potato Man, que tinha como integrantes os caras que comandavam a gravadora. Larry Livermore, o fundador, que ficou até 97, Patrick Hines, que fazia muitos trabalhos gráficos, e o Christopher Appelgren, que também fez umas artes bem famosas, como a capa do Kerplunk do Green Day, e quando o Larry saiu, o Christopher virou dono e presidente, ficou até o fim da empresa em 2012. Eu bati um longo papo com ele num café em São Francisco sobre vários temas, desde as correspondências que a gente trocou há mais de 20 anos, quando eu comprava discos da Lookout pelo correio, mandando dinheiro escondido ali no envelope, e ele contou bastidores da gravadora, falou sobre a explosão do Green Day, os arranca-rabos com o Screeching Weasel, os arrependimentos, enfim, tem muito assunto para tratar, então vambora pra conversa.
In the mid-90s, when Lookout sort of became a bigger company in the wake of Green Day's success, I think that there was a little bit of a disconnect with where the folks, where the Gilman Street sort of collectively felt like, Lookout isn't the Gilman label, and we're not the Lookout Records venue, and so it was nice to sort of celebrate Gilman's 30th anniversary and get to do that by kind of reconnecting the heritage of both places, because for me as a fan of these bands when I was a teenager and a fan of Gilman Street and spending every moment I could there, they were very connected in my mind. Here we go. I mean, as much as I loved them, saw them, hundreds of times, believed that they were, tremendous, and I still thought that it was more likely that the world would chew them up and spit them out. And I remember having a conversation with Billy Joe about that while they were on tour with Bad Religion and Sam-I-Am. Larry put me on the phone with them, or with Billy from the road, and he was like, "Here, try to tell him what you think." And I tried to explain it and didn't do a very good job of it. But I remember him, just kind of telling me point blank, like, "Look, we believe that it's gonna work out," and he was right.
He was right. Yeah. Loved Screeching Weasel. I mean, they were one of the first bands that we worked with from outside of the Bay Area, and always a lot of work. I remember, times where they weren't happy with the mastering, where we had to go back and remaster. But it was always, it was great working, but it felt like this was hard work. They asked a lot. But they were very committed and dedicated. We have a much more easygoing attitude in California or something like that, but there was a lot of conflict, and discussion. A conflict came up around how our royalties were calculated. It felt like that trust was really breaking down, and I was one of the few people at the label that really sort of had a relationship with Ben that I could talk to him about it, and it was sort of hard. I felt very responsible to him. I felt like here's an artist that had been
part of building so much success for both his band, but also for Lookout Records. And here we had this disagreement that felt like it could be resolved. I flew out to Chicago, spent hours and hours on the phone with him, and ultimately it wasn't able to be resolved. And it became the catalyst for Larry and Patrick leaving Lookout and kind of like expediting their retirement. I felt like I had to fix something in the label's relationship with Ben Weasel, and I always, I think for the rest of the time that the company existed until we, kind of cut ties with Ben completely, I was always still trying to fix this problem. And so I have a lot of regrets about that because I feel like I did a lot of work and put a lot of effort into trying to restore that relationship that seemed so valuable and important, and ultimately never was able to do that. I love the band and I love the things that we were able to do together, and I just wish that that we had it, because it wasn't just me, but it was me kind of advocating for decisions at the label, that we hadn't tried so hard to make it work when we clearly probably should have just broken up in 1996. Yeah, I mean, Pansy Division, I think it was incredibly important to work with them. I think that it was a really powerful way to represent the label's real openness and welcoming to all different styles, all different lifestyles, at a time when punk was a lot more homogenized and not even very, sort of women-friendly necessarily. Didn't feel that radical, but ultimately it became clear that it was radical, and it was the band were great and so much fun, and really sort of became part of the roster in a very big way, going on to a 3-day, touring with our other bands. I thought of it more of like, look, this is just another band that's sort of in this family of bands. But now looking back, it becomes more clear how significant it was because of the exposure that came through came from the tour with Green Day and some of the other things that they did that we got to be a part of. But I'll always think of us as being lucky to have gotten to work with them. My experience of punk is highly political. The punk scene, when I became a teenager in the late 1980s, and punk and radical politics were very intertwined. Maximum Rock and Roll would feature one kind of big article. The first issue I bought, it was about prison conditions, and it was something I, as a 13-year-old had never thought about. I thought prison was for bad people, and I never thought about prisoner rights. And so it was eye-opening, and I feel like certainly as it became more popular as a style of music, as a genre, it makes sense that the radical politics may not be at the forefront, and it certainly wasn't for every single punk band, but it was sort of like a place where more radical, interesting and odd and ideas could germinate. The Bay Area in California is a very progressive place. It's a much more welcoming place for more left-leaning and progressive and liberal concepts to exist without feeling the threat of those people that are in opposition to them. I believe in an inclusive society, one that's based on equality and diversity, and I think that to me that's why I gravitated to punk. This is a place for not only for music that's so great, but also for ideas that are more closely aligned with my own. But it's interesting because you also, I think, some of like the radical right wing things that you've seen, the punk scene has a lot more history with that as well. I mean, you find that like at Gilman Street, there's definitely history of fighting fascist skinheads, and having to sort of like make sure that they understood that there wasn't a place for them in this scene or community. And those, I think, once you create a scene that allows for radical thinking, it's up to the community itself to sort of police what is acceptable within them.